In this graph, we're going to have 3 different sections, so we need 3 different tables. Our first table is going to go with y equals 3. Our second table is going to go with y equals x plus 3. And our third table is going to go with y equals 2x plus 3. So here, for this first line, y is equal to 3 if x is greater than 2. So I'm going to start with my 2. I need anything that's bigger than 2. Anything. And this is saying, no matter what my x value is, y is always 3. So this is going to be a horizontal line at 3. To figure out if we have a hole, let's look at our sign. It's strictly greater than 2, so at 2 we're going to have that hole. So when we plot that, we go to the right 2 and up 3, put a hole. We can go to 6, 3, we can go to 8, 3, we could go to anything on this side, and it's still going to be at 3. So there's our first section. For the next part, we got y equals x plus 3, and this time, x is anywhere between 1 and 2 with those 2 numbers included. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with that first number, I'm going to put 1, I'm going to leave a space, and then I'm going to put 2. Now I just need some number that's between 1 and 2. So I'm just going to put 1.5. Anything that's between 1 and 2. You can put 1.1, you can put 1.9, doesn't matter, as long as it's between 1 and 2. Then when we substitute those in, 1 plus 3 is 4, 1.5 plus 3 is 4.5, and 2 plus 3 is 5. Here, we've got less than or equal to for both of them, so we're not going to have any holes, so we can go straight into plotting our points. 1, 4, 1.5, 4.5, it's kind of like in there, and 2, 5. So this is a really, really tiny section of this graph, but it is still there, it still counts. That's all there is to the blue section. And then for the last part, we've got y equals 2x plus 3 if x is less than 1. So starting with 1, and we can use anything that is smaller than 1, so I'm going to use -3 and -5. Anything smaller than 1. So when we substitute those in, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5, -3 times 2 is -6, plus 3 is -3, -5 times 2 is -10, plus 3 is -7. Our whole, since x is less than 1, strictly less than, our whole is going to be at that value 1, 5. So 1, 5, there's a hole. Then -3, -3, and -5, -7. And now we can draw our line. And we can go into our domain and range. So our domain, left to right, we've got this arrow pointing to the left, so we're starting at -infinity. Then, since that arrow went with the green line, we're going to follow that green line until it stops. It stops at 1, but the blue line starts at 1, and it's not a hole, so we can keep going. The blue line stops at 2, and there's not a hole there, and since the red line also starts at 2, we can keep going. So this one's going on forever towards infinity. Then our range. The lowest that this graph gets, we've got this arrow pointing downward, so we're starting at -infinity. And then I'm just going to follow this line up. The highest that the green line gets is at 5, and the blue line also gets at 5, and there's not a hole there, so that 5 is included in our answer. So we're going to put 5 and put a bracket. If this was a hole here, then we would put parentheses, because this is also a hole. But since this is a hole and this is a filled-in circle, that filled-in circle is going to trump the hole. So we've got a filled-in circle at 5 giving us the bracket.